Hi, everybody. Welcome to Book Club, Books, Whips, and Sips. It is my favorite time of the month. It's a Tuesday night, the last Tuesday night of the month. It always means book club night. And I am super excited to welcome our guest host tonight. And she just texted me saying she needs a couple of minutes. So while we're waiting for her, let me just kind of give you a little bit of background into this. So as you know, Marley Bird is my guest host this evening, and I have to tell you guys that I am totally fangirling right now. So I totally just kind of threw this out at her to see if she would even be interested, and when she said that she would be, I was like floored. So it looks like she's back. So let's go ahead and get her on. She needs no introduction here. Let me find, let's see here. There she is. Sent you the invite. Yay, so excited. Yay!
I'm here.
Yay! And you got your Purdue hat on. Woo!
I do. You said I could, so I
know. I love it.
Awesome.
How are you?
I am good. I had to pee real fast, but I'm good now.
I think that's I always do the same thing. I'm like, okay, I need to go because I'm going to be drinking stuff the entire time too. So it's like,
yes, I have a full glass of water here, and I'm like, if I don't
same girl.
I'm like, I'm going to be in trouble. And I just went live in my Facebook group to let them know. And so instead of going to the restroom at an appropriate time, I was live on Facebook, and then I was like, I have to go. Like, I have to go to the bathroom.
Literally, figuratively, every other illy.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, hi, everybody. Hello, hello. A lot of people saying hi, so it's cool.
Yes, hi. So I'm so excited that before you got on, I was telling them how I was totally fangirling over this.
I think it's so funny. I can make myself look pretty and stuff on here. Like, they allow you to do all these filters. Look at that. I am hot stuff.
You don't need the filter to be hot stuff, Marley.
Oh, that's even better. That is great. That is fantastic. All right, I'm back. Thank you.
I gotta say, I have done plenty of those filters when I've done these because there are days I just can't with my makeup, but.
Yeah. This is the ADHD kicking in. I'm like, oh yeah, that is awesome.
Oh, look, I can put bunny ears on.
That's how we should do the whole interview.
Oh my gosh, we totally should. Wait, can we do that?
I don't even know. I wish there was an elf one or something. I would so dig the elf. I don't see any bunny ears.
I can't even get mine to oh, there they are. They're at the bottom of the screen.
Oh,
I've never done the filters while we're live.
I'm like Avengering here. I'm driven to
we could do. Look, I've got
Mr. Stark. Mr. Stark, I don't want to die, Mr. Stark.
Oh, this is gonna be a great night.
I know, right? This is ridiculous. People are like, "What are they doing?" I know.
They're like, "Why? What did we sign up for here?"
I know. So sorry. This is so cool. Oh,
it's fun. I'm just gonna
so we're good. I'm sorry, guys. I'm totally derailing everything. I'm good.
I always.
Oh, you're an angel! Look at you.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Not the halo. Is the halo not there? I guess
I don't see the halo.
I guess I'm not that good.
I don't have anything cool like that. Mine's just kind of, what the heck?
I just keep randomly flipping through. I don't know. I'm just going to change it periodically throughout, and we'll see how.
I mean, it is almost Halloween.
I know, they should have something. Here's this one. If it does it. Well. I think we lost her. Hang on. Okay, hang on just a second. We lost her because we got too distracted sitting here playing with the filters. All right, I added you back into the chat here. Hang on. Guys, we're a mess. I'm sorry. Hang on a second. I'm inviting you again. I don't know why it grayed out the first invitation. I'm trying to add. It's not wanting to do this. Marley, does it give you like the request to join link at the bottom? This is what we get for playing with too many filters. Oh man. Okay. Here's what I'm going to do because I keep getting this thing that, oh, well, no, it doesn't have it down there. Well, dang. Hang on a second. Let me try this one more time and we might just have to try and, I keep sending the request, but it's like, hallelujah. Okay. I think we just learned our lesson.
I was like, oh, damn, because I swiped it. I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. My bad. I'm here.
We just got so excited playing with the filters that I was like, oh, let's hit this button.
You should have heard the language over here. I was like, so not good. It was so not good.
Hilarious.
All right. So, hey, guys. We've been on Instagram. It's not like we're like some newbies that have never seen filters.
Laughing so hard like I'm hot now. Oh, man. Oh, and now we're like, oh, man.
That's my son.
There we go. Oh, is that Kaden? Yes, I see.
That's Kaden. He's the one that goes to Purdue Fort Wayne.
Boiler up, dude.
Well, he's the mastodons. They're the mastodons.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I didn't realize they would have, well, you know what? It's all good.
It's all right. He's the mastodon. Yeah, so I'm representing Purdue Fort Wayne tonight for the mastodons. That's so funny. Sorry, Kaden Bird. Not everybody can be cool as you, Chuckles. All right.
Are we filling in the other word too?
Yeah, you can fill in the blank there. Fill in the blank. Okay, so here we go. Let's dive in.
All right. I love this. This is going to go great. We're going to be like squirrel.
Yeah, that's my life. That's my life.
Two ADHD people get together for a video call.
Oh yeah, you should see. So I mean, my best friend Robin Chichula is also my business partner, and I'm way more squirrel than she is. But still, we're just all over the place all the time. It's hard to like stay. I mean, you're gonna see. It's just I
get it. No, I totally get it. Like I was explaining to you earlier, the only reason, like the biggest reason why I am like so organized with the outline and everything that I've got, because everybody that's watched this before, I have a whole outline I follow. Yeah. Just to make sure that we don't go for like 3 hours. Okay.
I was very impressed. Here's those of you who know me, they're like, you're so cute. You don't think Marley can talk for 3 hours with or without an outline? Because I could talk for hours.
Oh, I'm sure that we could. I'm just sure they wouldn't want to necessarily watch.
Girl, I was at, listen to this. I was at the Indianapolis Knitting Guild, gosh, a couple months ago, and there was no clock in the room. So I was like, for sure, Anna will just stop me when my time's about up. She told me I was supposed to talk about 45 minutes, blah, blah. I was like, okay, great. So I'm talking. And I'm talking. I kind of pause. Then I'm talking. And then she's like, oh, man, we're going to run out of time here. 2 hours. I talked for 2 hours. 2 hours. Nobody got up and left either. I was like, I am shocked.
Yeah. You're fun to watch and listen to and talk, in my very limited experience to talk to. Like, it's just, I'm already having a great time. This is going to be so much fun.
Good.
Okay, so what are we here for? Oh, right. Yeah, this.
That book.
All right, so Love on the Brain is Ali Hazelwood's second book, and that's the book that we chose for October. And so there's a lot of like, okay, let me just get into the synopsis for those who may or may not have read it. So basically it's a STEM romance, science, technology, engineering, math. And I like it for like that whole perspective. I love that about it. It's a pretty basic romance. It's what you see is what you get. It's just it's meant to be more of a feel good. I call it brain candy, you know, like it's the kind of book that you read when you don't really want to think too much.
Candy corn. It's not like it's Skittles, everybody. It's candy corn. I
don't know, maybe it is Skittles. Doesn't that give you cancer now?
Does it?
I don't know.
I'm so screwed. I'm so screwed. You are just lighting it up,
girl,
over here, baby.
I've been there, done that, so it's all good.
I am so screwed. All right, then it's not Starburst. Are we safe with Starburst or Butterfinger?
I think Starburst are okay.
All right, it's
you know, we should just be safe and stick with chocolate.
Well, you know, but it's black licorice to me. I mean, it's candy. It's there. If you really want it, you can read it. I don't recommend it anymore.
Okay, so my first impression of it, like going into it with one, never having read anything else by her.
I read
and
her first
two,
one.
See, that's what I was going to ask you, because I have heard a lot of people say who had read and loved the first one that they did not like this one because it was almost a carbon copy.
Yeah. Are we getting into it right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Just so no spoilers yet, in case somebody hasn't finished the book.
All right.
We'll do like a spoiler break. So
I'll do my best, y'all.
All right.
Earmuffs. So,
earmuffs. Where's the filter for the earmuffs?
Yeah, my daughter is real big on book talk. You know, so I can't get on TikTok because could you imagine ADHD lady on TikTok? Like it's just
I don't have it either. They're the reason. Rabbit hole down, day gone.
So my daughter gets on there and she's like, Mom, I'm reading this book. You should read this book with me. And it's kind of fun because, you know, she's 20. And so now she's starting to read more romancy kind of books. And that's my genre. Like I love fantasy, romance, all sorts of things. We'll talk about that more. She's like, will you read this with me? I'm like, sure, honey, I'll read this. So I read the first one. I'm like, it's cute. It's, you know, like if I'm being honest, I'm like, the sex scenes kind of left some lacking, but you know, it's fine. And do I feel like the person, for as smart as she is, should she have known a little bit more of what was happening? Absolutely. I feel like there's a fine line where, you know, you're super smart and you have no common sense, and then you're just portrayed as being like super dumb. Yeah. So she really leaned into the super dumb. And so I was like, okay, it's good. It's her first book. So when this one came out, I was like, maybe it'll be better. Maybe she will have learned, she will evolve, she will whatever. No, it's like a carbon copy. And I hadn't read any of the reviews, like at all. So the first time I heard that was from you. And I'm like, I mean, I had already felt that way, but I'm like, yeah, that's absolutely, it's just like a wash, rinse, repeat, if not worse, because the girl was even dumber. And I didn't like that part. I
didn't read the other one. And I'm like wondering if I even want to now. Like, I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know.
Okay, so that's the first impressions.
Yeah.
I'm going to circle back to book talk here in a second. In the meantime, I want people watching, if you've read the book, drop a comment if you're kind of in agreement on that, like what your first impression was, okay? So for right now, we'll circle back to book stuff, but we're going to talk to you about you.
Okay.
All right.
That's my favorite topic, my son.
I love it. All right, so tell me about yourself. I mean, I know that you live in Indianapolis area, so we had a whole discussion on this, guys, before tonight. That she lives like down the street from my mom, basically. It's hilarious. Anyway, I digress. Tell us about yourself, how you got started, what you.
All right, so I'm originally from Colorado. I'm a Colorado girl. Moved here 3.5 years ago with my husband. I learned to knit from my grandmother in 1999. I learned to crochet from my grandmother in 99, learned to knit from my pastor's wife in 2004, 2005, whatever the last year of Friends was. I learned to knit the last on that last season of Friends, because my pastor's wife was like, come over on Thursday. And I said, Friends is on. She was like, yeah. And I'm like, but it's the last season. Like, I gotta watch Friends. That's the only reason I remember it. No pun intended. I was absolutely hooked with both crafts when I learned them. Fast forward, I decided I wanted to do something in the yarn industry. I had no clue what I wanted to do. Things cycle around. I became a podcaster. First I was a blogger, then I was a podcaster. I was the first crochet podcast on iTunes and like the third or fourth knit podcast on iTunes. I did the Yarn Thing podcast, I think for 14 or 15 years. Then I stopped doing it a couple years ago. And then became a designer, have written several books, have a YouTube channel. So I have the Marley Bird YouTube channel. I was the spokesperson for Red Heart Yarns for 5 years. And now I am an ambassador for Yarnspirations Yarn. I had my own yarn line, Chic Sheep by Marley Bird, but when Yarnspirations purchased Red Heart, that went away. It's still really good yarn. It's just, it didn't fit into the lineup. Let's see here. I have joined forces with my best friend, Robin Chichula, who is a crochet designer. She happens to be my favorite crochet designer, has been since the moment I started learning about crochet designers, which is a really big statement considering how many crochet designers I literally know, like not just follow, but know them. Like she's an absolute favorite. And so through the years, we've worked together on various things. And over the last 3 years, we became business partners. So she works with me underneath the Marley Bird line, but then we also have the Birds of a Feather production because she's a robin and I'm a bird. So,
I love that.
Right. And so we have a whole team that is behind everything that we do. And we're building up a new site for us, which is called the Marley Bird House. Whereas that's where I will host courses, pattern collections. We are doing a whole new thing called the VIP experience, where it's crochet alongs and knit alongs that I host for free on my website for a limited time, or you could purchase the VIP experience where you get the full pattern, all the video content, stuff, and then all the extras that go with it. Like, it's really involved. It's fantastic. Gosh, I can't think of like what else you want to know? Like, that's all.
I mean, I feel like it's your world and we're just living in it.
Yeah, no, right? Yeah, it's kind of sometimes I always feel that because my family, you know, they're always like, you know, Mom, are you doing? I was like, oh man, I'm so busy. They're like, Mom, you're always busy. I'm like, yeah, I know, and I know I'm always busy. And I literally love what I do. If I was the person who won the lottery tomorrow, I would still be doing this. Like, I don't do this just for the money. Like, I literally love what I do. Love it, love it, love it. So even though I'm busy, I enjoy that. So I don't watch a lot of TV. One reason is because you're either watching a 30-minute show or a 2-hour movie. So if you're crocheting or knitting on something, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I only got that far in 30 minutes. Oh, I only got that far in 2 hours. Like, yeah. It played with my brain a little bit. So I stopped watching TV and I started doing audiobooks. And I started with that because Random House sent me books on CD before there was anything online. And they were like, hey, I want you to review these on the podcast. So they sent me books on CD and I just fell in love with audiobooks. And so I have just, like, I have over 1,000 and some titles in Audible.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like,
and so now I know you got to interview Diana Gabaldon.
Gabaldon.
Okay, I'm saying it wrong. Okay, my bad.
Gabaldon.
Okay. Did you get to, so first, wow.
Yeah.
And second, like, is that like a thing? Like, did you interview like a ton of different authors because of the
Not
audio?
Really. No, so that was actually because I was reading the Outlander series, and I noticed that, you know, Jamie knits in Outlander, and Claire had a knit. And so I was like, I wonder if she's a knitter. So I reached out to her on Twitter. Would you ever be in? She was like, I absolutely would. So we connected over Twitter and I interviewed her on my podcast right before the show started. So the guy who plays Jamie, his name is escaping me all of a sudden. Ewan had just been cast as Jamie on the TV show when she was on my show. And so, yeah, it was like a 2-hour interview. You could it's still online. You can still listen to it if you guys want to just like sit back and listen to it.
Totally hitting that up now.
Yeah, it's like 2 hours. Like I told you, it's the only time I ever made an outline for anything I ever was going to do. And it was 2 hours long. I loved every minute of it. Since then, I've met her a couple times. And so, I mean, it's kind of cool. She knows who you are. It's like, oh, she knows me. But no, that wasn't because of the audiobooks. I just reached out to her. But
that's really cool.
I have other designers that I've reached out to and talked to quite a bit. And so, yeah, it's always funny to me because there's another author who I just adore her. And I found out she was following me on Instagram. And so I was like, this is so great. So like Penny Reid, do you know who Penny Reid is?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and the Winston brothers, love the Winston brothers. Love everything Penny Reid, love it all. And so we've conversed back and forth. It's a small world, you know, you just never know
it really
who you're going to reach out to and just connect with.
Well, and it's just like when I reached out to you, I mean, I did not think honestly, I didn't think you would even reply to me. I'm nobody. So.
Oh, you're funny. I thought it was great because I mean, I do my other best friend, Lindsay Martin, she owns Erin Lane Bags. And so usually we're listening to audiobooks at the same time together and we'll call each other. And this is the conversation. Girl, have you gotten to this chapter? And you're like, yeah. And then we'll talk for like 2 hours on just a couple things. They were like, oh my gosh, you know, and then we're just constantly talking back and forth about books that we're reading. So we had started the After Dark book club, but then we got so busy, neither of us were able to like take the time to like record our conversations, because sometimes our conversations are really graphic, like, because these aren't like teen books we're reading, and so we're like, well, do we really want to put this out there in the world? So I don't know. So anyways, anything to do, like the fact you were like crochet and books, and I was like, yeah, I'm in. This is great. I love this.
So confession here, I actually also reached out to Ali Hazelwood through her publicist.
Oh yeah.
Because you never know until you ask.
You never know.
But I had read on her Goodreads that she was a budding crocheter.
Really?
Crocheter? I think it was, yeah. Crochet.
If you're about to be like, and here she is, and I was like,
no.
Like, that's
all right, let me add her. Hang on, no, I'm just kidding.
Right? Like, my son is like laughing. He's like, oh man, she just set her up.
Gotcha. No.
Yeah. That's funny.
No, but I did reach out to her because I thought, oh, that would be kind of cool to like, you know, but yeah, I tried. But so one quick question, because it does connect, is because she's a beginner, like if you could give her one tip, what would it be?
So the first tip I usually will give beginners,
crochet related, not about the books. Like, don't write that can't.
No, that's not. I'm not gonna do that. No, if you're a beginner and you're gonna learn on YouTube, make sure you're finding a credible host. And what I mean by that is somebody who actually is using correct terminology, is showing you correct stitches, and understands what they're doing. Because anybody can get on YouTube and show stitches. And sometimes the people that are showing them, who have like really high views, are not exactly the best teachers, or teaching you the best way. I mean, of course, I'm very biased. I think my teaching is very good, but I'm not for everybody. I'm not like so arrogant that I'm like, I'm the absolute best. Like, I think it's good though. So that would be my biggest piece of advice, is if you're not going to go to a store to learn, and you're going on YouTube, find somebody credible. And I do recommend my beginner classes, even my By Crafty classes, where it's, so I have By Crafty Bootcamp, where you learn, it's knitters teach. By Crafty Bootcamp, knitting for crocheters. By Crafty Bootcamp, crochet for knitters. And right now, tomorrow is the last week of By Crafty Bootcamp Triple Threat Tunisian for beginners.
Oh, okay. I need to check out the knitting one. I have had knitting on my to learn list for like ever.
Yeah, you totally should, because I use crochet terms so that you understand what's happening. Because I think that was the hardest part when I learned to knit. I was so confused as to what I was doing until I could relate it to what I already knew in crochet. Yeah. Then I was like, oh, I get this now. So that's what I try to do.
Okay, so we've got a few comments here. Let me just kind of read a few.
Okay.
Here.
I'm going to take a drink while we're here.
Yeah, go for it. So Xtina Ross, I don't know if I'm saying it correctly. Christina. Oh, good. That makes more sense. See, yeah. I'm a dope. I learned to knit from you, so I definitely give my stamp of approval.
Yay!
Nah, Marlybird the best.
He's not partial at all.
Hey, you know what? In my book, he likes you, and I feel like that's a win. I mean,
Yeah.
my kids, it depends on the day.
I think if you were to ask Caden, he would say the same thing. It depends on the day.
And more often than not, in my case.
Yeah.
My oldest is always telling me I'm picking favorites, and I'm like, yeah, the dog.
Caden would tell you he's my favorite, and then my daughter would tell you she's the favorite. So it's funny in the house.
That is funny. Let's see. Let's see if I missed anybody here. Okay. I didn't see anybody give me their first impressions of the book. It's okay.
I know Christina Ross read it because she told me she read it, and I was like, I'm not impressed with this. So I'll let her share her 2 cents.
Well, you're gonna call her out and make her answer now.
I am calling her
out. Let's see. So do you prefer crochet or knit? Like which one? Like, do you have a preference? And if so, which one?
So I think, I mean, the go-to answer is usually I like both equally, but I do find myself knitting more than crocheting.
Really?
I like it more. I just find myself, like, if I were to push comes to shove, I'm usually picking up my knitting needles.
So I've heard that it's faster. Is that true?
No, crochet is much faster than knitting.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And why do you suppose that is? Just out of curiosity.
The stitches are bigger.
Oh, that's true.
Smaller stitches, so that you have bigger stitches. Mm-hmm.
But sometimes, like, one of the reasons I do want to learn to knit is because the fabric can be a little thinner.
Yes.
So I feel like a lot of times it gets super thick with crochet. So it's like, if you want a thinner sweater, you got to pick a real thin yarn.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so Christina said that she felt the same way. It was entertaining enough, but frustrating. I know we'll talk more once spoilers are allowed. Yes.
Oh, okay.
We'll on to those.
There you go. Awesome.
Let's see. All right, so I know that you said you love what you do, but what has been your favorite thing that you've done to date? It can be something that you've done but don't do or have time for anymore, or just what's your favorite thing? Your favorite part of it all?
Design-wise, favorite part?
Anything, business, really. Like it could have been your podcast or your whatever.
Gosh, that's hard. I love teaching people a lot. I really love teaching people. I love interacting. When I was on when I had the podcast, I loved interviewing people. It was an interview-based podcast because I liked to get to know like how people got started and hear their story. I always felt like I approached the podcast as if I was the fan getting to ask the questions that everybody wanted to know. Like those types of things, I think, have been my favorite. Teaching and then interview. It's really the people. Like I'm such a people person. When, you know, like people talk about, oh, I'm an extrovert, I'm an introvert, or I'm an introverted extrovert, or vice versa, or whatever. Like I'm an extrovert. 100, like that's it. There is no introvert in me. Like I am the person, you go to a party and I'm like rejuvenated and I am buzzed for hours afterwards. Like that's sitting in a room all by myself trips me up. I don't do well with that. Like it's real bad. When I used to travel to Red Heart for my quarterly meetings, I'd be in the hotel room and I would just be so antsy. I would go sit in the lobby just to be around people. Like it's that bad. Like I'm just very extroverted. So it doesn't shock me when I think about what my favorite parts to all of this. It's the people aspect of it. I really enjoy it. Mm-hmm.
That is one really cool thing. Like, and especially, you know, we were talking about this earlier. It's just like, even just the app has like provided, really kind of expanded it, and you just get to meet so many cool different people from all over the place. And I agree. I think that's one of my favorite things about everything too, is just getting together. And do you have like a local sip and stitch, or do you teach classes locally or anything like that?
Oh, ever since COVID, I took a step back from teaching, except for online. I actually coached the local high school track team. There's a whole story there, but when I moved here to Indiana, I made the decision to step away from teaching publicly for at least 6 years, and I coached the Hamilton Southeastern boys and girls throwing team for the high school. And so I love that more than you could ever imagine. Like those kids, they hold a very special place in my heart. Like, I didn't think I would ever, because I was a collegiate athlete, so I threw in college. And I never thought I would go back into the sport, but I love it so very much. And those kids, I could cry. They always make fun of me. Coach Bird always cries. Yes, like Coach Bird always cries because I love you so much. I love them so much, so much. So it has been literally one of the best decisions ever. When it comes to teaching outside, though, like the knitting guild was the first thing I had done in 3 years. And I just talked, I didn't teach. And then the first teaching thing I'm going to do, and it's a big deal in the sense that I was like, I'm not teaching unless it's a big deal, unless it's a big deal thing for me to go to. I was invited from the Crochet Crowd. Mikey from the Crochet Crowd invited me to go and teach with him and Moogly at a special retreat in Reno next year. So
fun.
Yeah, so I told him that I'm doing it because he asked me. Otherwise, I would be like, thank you so much, but I'm doing it because Mikey asked me. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, so it's gonna be outrageous because I mean, Mikey's amazing and fun, and Tamara's amazing and fun, and so you get all three of us together, and it's
gonna be a good time.
Yeah, it's a good time. It'll be fun. I mean, it's not cheap. I'm not going to lie. Everybody, if you're looking into it, tickets go on sale in November sometime. I'm not exactly sure. I think it's the 18th. You have to get online and look.
So what's the event called? Because I feel like I've missed that whole thing.
I think it's called Lake Tahoe Retreat. I don't know. If you look up Lake Tahoe Retreat 2023 on the Crochet Crowd website, I should have a link right here with me, and I don't. Yeah.
I'll look it up, and then I can, I'll post it in my caption when I do the replay.
Yeah. And when people are like, oh, they're charging so much money. Guys, I mean, when you're putting on a retreat like that, it's like putting on a wedding. Imagine how much your wedding is. Like, it's not cheap. So yeah, just throw it.
So I think that's really cool. Are you guys going to put any of that like online or anything, or? Probably
not. No, it's just an exclusive. And it's only 100 people. Like, it's really, really small. So it should be fun.
That'll be fun though. I'm going to look that up, and I'll make sure for anybody that's interested, I'll put that information in the caption when I post the replay, or in the description box on YouTube too. Yeah. So, awesome. Very cool. All right. So you hit on this a little bit earlier. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about Marley Birdhouse.
Okay. So
lots of things there.
Yeah. I taught classes at Interweave. I've taught classes at Craftsy. I've taught classes at Creative Bug, and I've done my own YouTube channel. The direction that YouTube really is going, it doesn't mesh very well with my style, in the sense that I don't like to just go in, wham, bam, let me just show you the stitch and move on. Like, I like to actually teach. I like to explain, look, you're doing this stitch, you're doing it this way because of this, and you can use it this way, which makes like a 3-minute video turn into like a 20-minute video. And YouTube doesn't like that. Okay. They don't like to show your stuff. So even though it's a quality, high quality video, that didn't even make sense. Like, produced video, you know, the traffic doesn't come in. So it's frustrating. So I know that a lot of my subscribers like the way I teach. And so a way for me to kind of have the best of both worlds is to still teach on YouTube for sure, but have another outlet, which would be like a Craftsy or a Creative Bug, where it's a self-contained environment for just my courses. So you're not going in there and just finding one class, like one video lesson. It's an entire course where, like, if you were to go to a large stitching event with me and you had a chance to take a mosaic crochet class, well, you could do that there. It costs me usually $150 for one 3-hour course, or for, I think it's $39.99 or $49.99, I can't remember, you take Camp Colorwork, where you not only get mosaic crochet, you get mosaic knitting, you get all different forms of those, you get crochet color work, which is a whole bunch of different things there, knitted color work, stranded knitting, how to fix mistakes, and then you have a whole bunch of these extra bits that are all thrown in. Like, it's this huge massive course at a fraction of the cost, in a contained space that is unlimited access, that is there whenever you are ready for it. So even if, like, you bought it now and you're like,
don't get to it for a year, it's still there.
It's still there. And
So I can go finally get my knitting thing. And then when I actually finally get my butt in gear to do it, it's there for me.
There. So right now, Buy Crafty Bootcamp is only on YouTube, but we are moving it to the Marley Bird House. And like you literally marlybirdhouse.com, and that will take you to the site. You can see what courses we have up there right now. But like they're really intense to build, to host, and it's high-end quality content in there. So that's what the Birdhouse is. It's a way for us to,
it's crochet college or knitting college or yarn college.
Yeah, and it's a way for us to control our content, control how it's given out there, you know? Yeah, presented. And I know that, you know, it's not going to be for everybody. I get that too. Like I understand that. Just like the reverse of YouTube, doing quickie videos is not for everybody. Like you have to try and make
everybody learns differently.
Everybody does. And so my school of thought is I would much rather be able to teach people in a way that they're going to become better knitters and crocheters, because then they're going to want even more advanced classes from me, which are the ones that I really like to teach. And so it all just, you know, becomes an amazing cycle. So with that, like Robin Chichula and I have several courses in there. I do a Christmas in July that Brianna Kepner and I for Brianna K Designs put together, and we've been doing that for 3 years now. But this year was the first year that we did it in the Birdhouse, so we're going to do it again next year. I mean, it's just, it builds up. And so then we have one-off events that we do. So like we do the Stash Busting Quickies pattern books that I do with Moogly every year. So this year it'll be volume 3. I'm in the middle of putting that together right now. But that will also be housed in the Marley Bird House. So you'll be able to get all of your content there in one place. So it's all available in one place for you.
That's really nice.
We have a customer support team that's out there to help if you have problems. But yeah, it's pretty darn awesome.
That sounds amazing. I mean, and it's nice that it's all in one place and you can get everything you need. No, I need to go check out. I'm writing down the knitting thing because I need to check that out. And I'm going to, I know you said you're going to move it in. Do you have any idea when you're going to get it moved over?
So our goal was to move it over this year, but then Camp Colorwork took its place. And so we didn't get a chance to. But I will say by summer next year, Buy Crafty Bootcamp will be moved in there, because the Advanced Tunisian, Buy Crafty Bootcamp Advanced Tunisian class will be going in there as well. So we are really taking people through the beginners of Tunisian stuff right now with Robin, who is an expert. And then we're moving into much more advanced Tunisian and putting that in the Marley Bird House also. So there's lots of stuff coming in there, which is really great.
Well, there's quite a few cool things in there already too. So marlybirdhouse.com.
Yep.
So make sure you guys check that out if you haven't yet.
Right.
Okay. So aside from yarn, do you have any other creative outlets?
I like to make jewelry. But even that, I don't get a chance to do that very often. My outlet outside of yarn is really the coaching. Yeah. It takes a great
That's creative too, though, I think.
Yeah. You know? It takes a great deal of time. Like from February to June, I'm spending hours and hours and hours with these kids. And it's amazing because I don't only get to be there with them, these teenage kids, who sometimes don't want to be with their family that long, right? I get to see them every day. I get to coach them. I get to be,
you get to shape them.
Yeah, I'm going to say have fellowship with them. They get to see a woman, a successful woman who owns her own business and is in a very masculine sport, coaching boys and girls. So it's an aspect of life that's introducing them to other ways of seeing people outside of what they might have been.
I love that.
Into. And I mean, I don't want to cry. Honestly, as much as I am a part of these kids' life, like they have impacted me more than I could ever imagine. Like, love them, love them, love them.
Oh, I love that so much. And just side note, so my aunt actually taught at that same high school. You might have had 1 year of crossover, but she retired the year after COVID. But just kind of fun. But like she's always said a lot of the similar things. Like she loved being at that high school level because she would be involved with a lot of like the the drama stuff. And same thing, you know, like just getting to have influence on these kids. And I think they were her kids, you know, like it's, so I get it. Yeah.
Last year, I mean, I graduated, I think 10 seniors, and it was very difficult because one of them was my own kid, right? Because that's the other part, like you're missing out is I'm coaching these kids and two of them are my kids. Like I taught my son, Caden, who is now a thrower at Purdue Fort Wayne. And then another one of my throwers got a scholarship at Purdue Fort Wayne. So she's there. So they're both D1 athletes. So that's
amazing.
It's just so great. And then a couple other throwers, they're actually playing football. One's at Ball State, one's at the University of Indiana playing football. And then two others are playing football. But it's just like, I mean, they're my boys, you know, they're my girls. Like two of my girls, Rosie, the one that's at Purdue, and Marina, who's down at Florida State. Like they just texted me the other day. They're like, hey coach, when we're in town, can we have like a day where we're making cookies and stuff together? And I'm like, my little heart just wants to break because I just love these girls. So of course I'm crying as I text them back, and they're like, I knew I'd make you cry. And I was like, oh yes, I'm always crying. I know I'm always crying, but I do, like, it's just, I don't know. I never expected it. I never expected it. It blindsided me how much I love it. And I know I'm not going to do it forever. Like I told them I would give them 6 years because that put me all the way through with both of my boys. And it put 1 year extra just to finish up what's going on. And it is going to be hard to walk away, but I know that I have to do that for my family wise, like for, it's just a huge time commitment. So for my business, for my family, for all the things, but it's not an understatement to say these kids changed my life. Like it's great. They're great.
I love that. I love that so much. Oh, don't cry though. Don't cry.
I know. Are you kidding me? I'm already crying. I'm always crying. My family makes fun of me. They're like, you cry about those kids more than us. I'm like, that's not true. It's just an unexpected blessing. They're all just, I just love them all from the first year I was with them to the year where, I mean, they're just, I just can't even, I feel like they're my kids, and the parents are awesome. Like that's one of the other cool things, you know, as you are a parent and you grow up with your kids in all of these sports and you make friends with the other parents, right? So we move out here and all my kids are in high school. So you're not in Pee Wee sports anymore.
Right.
So now I'm in high school sports and I'm getting to meet some of these parents, and I love the parents, right? And I love these kids, and I love it. What's really cool is last year, so I have an entire, like this really big bag that I keep stuff full of like my mittens and hats and scarves and cows. So whenever it's cold, they're like, Coach, can I go get the bag? And I'm like, yeah. And they fight about who's wearing what. And so only some of the things have like my tag on them, you know, like the Marley Bird tag, whatever.
Sure.
And so they always fight about who's going to get that. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, you're killing me. But
do you do them in school colors or just like whatever?
No, just everything. So like whenever I'm making stuff for like stash busting quickies, they go into the bag. So that way everything's in there. But I do have stuff in school colors too. But I mean, I have pictures of these kids, like these monster kids, like John's like 6'6" or something. And he's on the ground covered up, and he's got like furry mittens on, and he's in a big old cowl and a hat that's like multicolored rainbows. And I mean, it's just the cutest thing. And I just love them. They're just
that's awesome.
So I could talk about my kids forever, but they are a blessing, an absolute blessing.
Oh, that's awesome. Handmade Knits by Chris said, I get to do Girl Scouts with my youngest granddaughter. She tells all the girls, don't worry, Nana Chris will sew your badges on your vest. They're ages 5 to 18. I love that.
Fantastic.
Oh, Fantastic. That's so fun.
It's, like I said, it's an unexpected delight, because like I threw the shot put and the discus in college, and I distinctly remember, you know, earmuffs, I'm going to say a curse word. The last time I threw the shot put, I looked at my coach and I said, that'll be the last time I ever pick up the shit put in my whole life. And he goes, okay. And here I am showing kids how to throw the shot put or the shit put all the time. And I was just like, this is crazy to me that I'm out here throwing.
And the universe said, wait a second.
I can do it. I'm like, I got this, but it's fun. I enjoy it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I feel like I'm talking hours about throwing.
See, I didn't do the throwing. I did do track for a year, but I ran, and then I decided running was not my jam.
Not a runner. Not a runner.
Okay, so you've told me that your favorite book genres are romance and fantasy.
Yes.
What draws you to those genres, and do you have a favorite trope or like subgenre that you're more drawn to than others?
So when I read, I read to escape. Like I don't want to read a thriller. I don't want to read a murder mystery. I don't want to read anything that's too true crime or anything. Not into any of that. I want to read something that has a happily ever after, that has some sex in it, that has a good story to it, not just all sex all the time, right? I want a good story. If there's some fantasy or some like sci-fi or some like I don't even know what the word I'm looking for. It makes it even that much better. I like historical fiction because I think that's interesting. But it's about the escape. It's getting lost in the story so that I don't realize I've just spent 10 hours listening to a book as I was working on something. So I have my people I listen to that are like my palate cleansers. I got to open up my audios here real quick.
Okay.
So like my palate cleansers, I've got so many books. It's ridiculous. Whenever there's a book sale on Audible, Lindsay will call me. She's like, girl. And I'm all, what? So there's a sale. And then we go in there, and I'm not even joking when I say we'll buy 50 books at a time. Like, it's crazy. I don't know why. I'm just like, my brain is mush. Hold on. I got to go. I bought all of the Smarty Pants romance books last time. Those are Penny Reid's company. So Smarty Pants Romance is Penny Reid's company. So she has authors.
My mom likes Penny Reid. She was actually just telling me about her. That's the only reason I've heard about her is my mom was mentioning her to me.
It's funny because I read her books for the first time like probably 3 years ago. And I put on my Facebook, I was like, I feel like I know this lady. Like I put it out there to all my knitting friends, like my knitting designers, right? And I'm like, okay, guys, I'm reading this author and I feel like I should know her. Like, do I know this lady? Because I feel like I should know her. And everyone's like, oh, I don't think so. Like, I've never seen her anywhere. And I was like, all right, well, maybe I don't. But I feel like I was like, I should know her if I don't know her. And so since then, now I know her. And it's nice. I'm just totally dry. I wish Lindsay were here. She'd be writing it up here. Lindsay, Erin Lee Bag Lindsay, she was a English major. So like she knows all the stuff. Like she remembers all the names and all the things. I get lost in stories. I am on page 7 and I have not gotten to where I know I've got so many. Anyway,
do you ever find when you're listening to an audiobook that and you're knitting or crocheting along that like if you get to like this angsty or like tense section of the book, like do you find that your tension gets tighter? Because like I've had some books where I'm like just so tight with my stitches that I've had to rip them all back out after I finish that chapter.
No, I haven't had that happen. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, if it's a really good steamy scene, I will put my work down and I just sit back and listen. All right, that's pretty good. That's well written. It's well written. Like, and I'm not talking about 50 Shades of Grey, y'all, because if that's where you're at, like, it's a terribly written book. Terrible.
It is.
Okay, Lauren Blakely is my palate cleanser type read.
Okay.
Because they're very easy. She has a very there's a word for it, but there's like a rhythm to it. She has like it's a recipe, you can count on it. And so she's it's very easy to, and all of the people who read her books are really good, like the narrators. So she's like my palate cleanser. But like the people that are like, as soon as there's a book out, I'm on it, like Nalini Singh. I love Nalini Singh's Psy-Changeling series. It's one of my favorites. Kresley Cole. Absolute
I love
favorite.
Kresley Cole. I've been through that whole series.
And I'm so glad she's back. Like I'm like, thank God she's back. So like Kresley Cole is one of my favorites. Gina Showalter is one of my favorites.
She's another good one.
Karen Marie Moning. I read the entire Highlander series, and then I read the whole Fever series.
Okay, wait, hold up. Mm-hmm. The Fever books. Yes. Okay, so I read all of them. And then I got to like the more recent, like, you know how she took like a break on them, right? I'm sitting here gesticulating with my pencil. But like she took the break and then she came back with, what was it? Iced, which was Danny's as a girl. And like, girl, she lost me a little on that one. And I have the next one and I just have been so reticent to pick it up.
So the last one she did, I hated it. I was like, I felt like, I don't even know what happened. I felt like she had put it off so many times because I know she was going through some personal stuff, and that it just didn't, it just missed the mark for me completely. Danny's story, because you have to go, you know, you're like, Danny's this little girl, and then she goes away into the Silvers and comes back an adult. You have to like change this mindset of, okay, this is no longer a little girl. Now, I've listened to Danny's story, like the two of her stories twice now, more than 2 times, because she falls in love with Ryden. And I love Ryden. And I love the fact, and that's where it can get weird, because you're like, well, Ryden liked Danny while Danny was a little girl, but Ryden would have protected Danny and never made it into like a sexual relationship. He loved her because he knew that there was this future thing. And so you kind of have to like suspend this idea that he was grooming her, because he wasn't trying to groom her. He was trying to protect her. I don't know, which is hard. You know, sometimes it's like, oh, I don't know, it's a fine line. And yeah, it really is, especially when the narrator who was originally reading all those books got charged with trying to solicit an underage girl. Because I
didn't know.
Yeah, Phil Gigante. His book, I mean, his voice is like sex in words. Like it's just his like Scottish brogue. You're just like, cream my jeans. Oh my God, talk to me. Like it's amazing. He's so good until you find out he's a creep, and you're like, I can't hardly listen. And you know,
I can't not know that now. Like,
and you're like, I can't hardly. Yeah, you know, so. That's a whole other thing. Like, if you're going to listen to him, you're listening to Phil, and he's really good, but you have to, like, separate yourself from the guy who became this creeper. So it kind of got hard there. But I mean, Jericho Barons, oh, God. Oh, if there ever was an alpha male that you're just like, yes, Jericho Barons.
Yes.
Yeah, baby.
Agreed. He was definitely one of my favorite book boyfriends. I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could call him a boyfriend. That's not really the right word for him. But.
No, he's not. He would not be called a boyfriend.
No, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
We were freezing up a little bit. Somebody said, "Are we still frozen?"
Yeah. I think we're good. My thing was circling there for a little bit. Sorry, guys.
Oh, and then I just accidentally pushed the button to like pop up my filters again.
Oh. Let's see. Somebody says they can't hear anything, so let's hold on a minute.
Okay.
I have all full bars, so hopefully I'm good.
Yeah, so do I. And I'm literally sitting right next to my
thing. Mine is right there.
So I don't know. Maybe it's the platform itself having some issues.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Have you read any Sarah J. Maas books?
Okay, so yes.
I love them.
I read the very first Court of Thorns and Roses, but I stopped because it was good, but then I can't remember how long ago it was that I read that. It's been a while. And coincidentally...
Hold on, they said we're stuck.
Maybe we should try and go out and then come back in.
Okay, so let's tell them.
Okay.
You started.
Oh,
okay.
It just stopped. Okay. I don't know what's going on. Maybe there's like a... Okay, so I'm going to hang up. Don't go anywhere.
Okay. All right.
Okay, let's see if we can get this to work. For part 2 here. All right, Marley, I have hit the invite button for you. And once again, it seems like it's taking its sweet time trying to get you on here. Okay, so you're in, invite. I think Instagram is on the struggle bus tonight. So I've accepted it and I've invited you, and it's still not popping you in here. Yeah, I've hit it like 4 times. Marley Bird is unable to join. That's what it keeps saying. And I'm also inviting you at the same time, so I'm not sure. Stitch and Wolf, can you at least hear me at this point? Okay, this thing hates us. Okay, well, that's good at least. Okay. Does it show that you've been invited, Marley? Okay, I'm going to try and restart it again. And make sure that I don't have like something else. I left and came back. Okay. All right. So let's see here. Let's try this one more time. No whammies, no whammies.
I'm
Yay.
here. I'm here.
Holy cow.
I was like, oh my gosh, why is this happening? You know why this is happening? It's because I was like, this is going to be easy. Everything's fine. That's why. All right. So those
now can everybody hear us though?
Yeah. I hope you guys can.
Yeah. I mean, I know when it was just me, they said that they could, but I just want to make sure that now you're in too, that everybody can hear us both.
Okay.
That is so weird. And then like, of course, so like I got out of the first one and it's like, okay, well, do you want to discard your video or do you want to share? It's like, I'm not ready to share it. I need to put it together with the rest of the I don't know.
I don't know. Well,
but I was afraid to hit discard because then I'm like, well, I don't want to lose it.
Right,
so.
Exactly. I hear you. So just in case, Phil Gigantes, who we were talking about, guys, he was a narrator and he was actually like prosecuted for trying to solicit an underage child. But his voice is like sex on legs. It's amazing. But you have to like disconnect from that when you're listening to it because, you know, you're like, you can't think about what he did. But then I asked you if you had read Sarah J. Maas.
Right. Okay. So, Christina said, yay, let's see how well I can multitask. I have to listen to a work meeting and make a game for class tomorrow too.
Let's go.
Oh, we make no promises here. So, yeah, I read the first one, and that's that Court of Thorns and Roses. And I have been hearing so many people that just love that series, but like it was just okay for me after that first book. So I just never got around. I mean, it wasn't that I didn't intend to read the next ones. I just never did. And so then all of a sudden I keep hearing all of this talk about this series and I'm like, and there's enough books of them out now. Is the whole series out now?
5 of them are out. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So is there more to come, I guess? Maybe?
Yes, there are. It's
so
very good.
There's enough of them out that I'm like, okay, I should entertain it again. And that means I'm going to have to start over with it. And so one of my upcoming hosts for a future book club was talking about that series and if we had read the first book as the book club or not, and if we wanted to do that. And I'm like, you know, I've been thinking I need to try and reread it. Maybe it's time to go ahead and give it a go. So you think it's worth a Court of Thorns and Roses?
Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. So here's how I was introduced to Sarah J. Maas so Lindsay and I we're exchanging book names back and forth. Authors. She was like, listen, you've got to read this book called Throne of Glass. She's like, don't get stuck on the title. Don't look at the book cover or anything. Just trust me on this. It's a very strong female character. It's a lot of world building. It's a very good story. And that was Sarah J. Maas's first book. I think she wrote it when she was 16. It's a good book. It's a good book.
She wrote it that young.
I know. And so I read that. Then I read the next one. Then I read the next one. By the third one, you are in this. Like, the story is excellent.
Committed.
Then, like, so it goes up through book 7. It is so good. It is so good. It is so good. I have never cried in a book so hard as I did in book 7 with a certain scene. And I just cried. That's not true. I cried really bad in Outlander when Jamie was with Jack Black. But anyways, like, she just wrote it very well, right? Yeah, book 3 and 4, that's where she gets you. Book 1 and 2 are okay. You're like, okay, this is okay. Let's see where this is going. 3, when Rowan is introduced, and it's just, this world just explodes, and you're like, this is amazing. So I read those, and I saw that there was A Court of Thorn and Roses, and I was like, what is this? Because Lindsay hadn't read those. So I went ahead and read them. I read the first one. I was like, okay, that's not bad. I mean, it wasn't bad. It's like Beauty and the Beast sort of style,
right? Yeah,
right. Then I read the second one, and at the end of the second one, I was on a plane coming home from a Stitches event, and I'm sobbing on the plane, like,
oh man,
at a scene, like, just sob, like, just quietly by the window, just streams of tears. And I'm texting Lindsay at the same time. I'm like, you've got to read these. You've got to read these. And she was like, okay. So then she reads them as I'm like on book 3. Love the whole thing. Like, I'm just like, this was amazing. This was so good. Because it's by the time you're at book 3, it's so different than book 1.
Yeah.
In a good way. Like, it just takes you through
really
this
picks
path.
up more.
And like, everybody talks about chapter 55, I think it is, in book 2. I actually really like chapter 54. I think it's a better chapter, but it's just so good. It just makes you have all.
All right, I'm gonna read it again.
It's
okay?
so good. It is so good. It's so good. But then she takes you, because it's there's a little sex in it. Like, there's, it's a little bit, but it's like tame. Then book 5 comes with Nesta and Cassian, and you're like, whoa, okay, girl, get you some. Like, it's so good. It's so good. Then she has a whole other series that she built called Crescent City. There's 2 books out in that.
I've heard of that one too, yeah.
I will be honest. I want to say, like, the first 200 pages of Crescent City were very difficult for me. Like, I kept putting it down, picking it back up, putting it down, picking it back up. Because it's this world building again, that she's building this whole world, and you're kind of lost in what's going on. But then it picks up, and you are just hanging on for dear life. Like, you are in it. Then book 2 comes, and you're like, this is good, this is good, this is good. And Lindsay had finished it before I did, and she goes, okay, listen, when you get to this chapter, it's like 4 hours left on the audiobook. She goes, have 4 hours where you just can't stop. Like, you just go. And then she goes, and
power through.
Yeah. And I was like, okay. So I did it. I called her, and she's like, I have been dying to talk to you about this. So then Christina Ross, I told her, I was like, okay, you're reading it. When you get to this chapter, just be ready. She's like, okay. And it's just really, so I love the type of author she has started out, and then where she is now. She's very, very good. She's very good. So I like her books. You know what books are really good? If you have not read these, people, you've got to get yourself these 3 books. Okay, it's a trilogy. It's by Deborah Harkness.
I know what you're going with.
Discovery of Witches. And
love those books.
I was a fan of these before the TV series and everything.
Same. I read all of them well before that.
So many people are like, oh, A Discovery of Witches. I'm like, no. Pay no attention to the title. Pay no attention to the cover of the book, which is now the same thing as the TV show. It doesn't matter. But it was one of those things, they had been recommended to me so many times. I was like,
same.
I don't want to read it.
And it just kept popping up everywhere, and you're like,
and
fine,
then I was
I'll
like,
read it.
Fine, I'll read it. I love it so much. When I tell you I have read the series at least 12 times, I am not joking. I started again this morning because it's like going back to old friends.
Yeah, I get that.
Things every time. Like, I love Diana. I love Matthew. I love Gallaglass. I love Discovery of Witches. So if you've not read that, you must read that. You need to.
I second that. You guys need to read it if you haven't. It's a great trilogy.
So good.
Did you read the it's called The Fae Chronicles by, oh gosh, who's that by?
Yes, Amelia
Hutchins.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I read those.
Those are pretty steamy too.
They were very steamy and they're different. I'm gonna say they're more raunchy. They're more
they are.
Maybe raunchy is not the right word. They're definitely much more graphic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're very graphic.
Yeah. Amelia Hutchins. I'm in her Facebook group too because I enjoy reading. But yeah, I read those, and I also read her. She has another series that I was reading too of hers. I don't know. Yeah, I've read all of her books. Have you read Jasmine Eve? Hold on. I'm gonna look back in my Audible. Oh, I read the Six of Crows books. They were all over BookTok. I was like, really, people?
So I read like the synopsis on those, and it did not interest me.
I was like, no, I'm not into it. But other books, I'm very disappointed in. People are probably gonna kill me with this. I gotta find the names of them because I have blocked them out. The last book is like supposed to come out soon, and I will read it because I'm in it this far, and I know
you got to see how it ends. It's like a train wreck. You can't look away.
One of those books that even like Lindsay. Okay, for example, Lindsay and I have a very strict no spoiler policy, like very, very strict. She was on book 5 of this book, and she's calling me because it just kept getting worse and worse. There was never any like this successful part for the main characters, right? And I was like, look, let me just tell you what happens because it doesn't get much better, and it just feels like you're just drowning in this pit of despair and nothing gets good. And she was like, okay. And so I told her, she goes, that's it, I'm not reading it. I was like, I don't blame you. Like, they're so bad. Oh my God, they're all over BookTok. Why can't I find them? You would know what they are. The people need an editor. They need an editor. First off, it's like they're just so bad. And all I kept thinking, I was like, why is all of this nonsense information in here? Like, none of this makes any sense. And somebody wrote that they put them out for free or on Kindle, whatever, and they get paid like something. And I'm like, well, that makes sense, but this is ridiculous. Like, why are people reading this? Because this is just off. Zodiac Academy.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Erin. Yeah.
And there's Lindsay. Oh my God, it's terrible. People, avoid it at all costs. It's awful. You think like by book 3, I was like, okay, I'm getting into it, and you're thinking they're gonna get better. That's when I had recommended to Lindsay. I'm like, Lindsay, you're gonna like these because it's like it's enemies to lovers, but it's like it's bully romance. Like, you hate these people. You're like, no, don't be with that person. Oh my God, they're just terrible. And so like book 3, and then I'm like, okay, so then I'm reading, she's reading, she's on book 1, right? So I'm on 5, and I'm like, all right. So I get to 6, and then she got to 5, and she's like, what is it? I'm like, okay, well, let me tell you, because this is terrible, and I hate these. Like, they're just, but
I'm not on TikTok, but I feel like I've heard of it, but I haven't really looked into it at all. So I will definitely steer clear of those.
Unless you just want to have the soul sucked out of you and nothing good ever happens to the characters, you're just like, oh. Jamin Eve, she's good. Jamin Eve's supernatural prison books, and she has some other ones. She's pretty good too. I like her. But anyways, yeah, Zodiac Academy. Oh.
Tell us how you really feel.
Oh my God. Sometimes there's like winners, like Jennifer Armentrout's books were recommended to me, and I was like, I enjoyed those. Like, I enjoyed those. They were interesting. They were interesting enough. I was like, okay, I can continue. Her last one I was a little irritated with. I don't want to do spoilers, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, Zodiac Academy, no. Just avoid it. Just avoid it. Like,
noted.
Yeah.
Should I put all of this? I should be taking notes and like putting this all in the caption later.
You know who else is good? Diane Duvall.
I haven't heard of her.
She has Lindsay, correct me here. Supernatural Prison book. She likes this. Diane Duvall, she has the newer books out. Oh my gosh, why am I drawing a blank on? Okay, hold on.
Oh, Blood and Ash. I've heard of that one, but I haven't read that one.
That's Jennifer Armentrout.
Okay.
Diane Duvall, she has the Gifted Ones, Immortal Guardians. The Immortal Guardians series by Dan Duvall is very good. And now it has transferred into, because that series has kind of ended, she's in like the Alliance series. I don't know. It's very good. They're very interesting. It's a whole nother world thing, but they're good. I like
notes.
Yeah, they're very, very good. They're very good. And I mean, gosh, I could give you all sorts of books all day long. Like,
are you on Goodreads?
No, I don't have time for that.
So here's getting back to the ADD thing. So when Goodreads started, I hopped on that like almost immediately, not for the social aspect of it, but simply because I couldn't keep my shit straight, like what I've read, what I haven't. And because you're borrowing stuff from friends or or library, and where did I read this book, and where did I stick that one, and what did I think of it? Do I want to read another one by that? Like, I had to start keeping track of it. And so I've started doing it everything through Goodreads, and now I cross-post my reviews there too. But like, it helps me out so much just trying to keep everything straight, because I can never remember everything. Yeah. It goes in one ear and out the other sometimes. So.
Yeah. I keep everything in Audible, so I keep track of that. And Lindsay's like, Penny Reid. Yeah, I love Penny Reid. J.R. Ward books. Love J.R. Ward. Have you read any of her Black Dagger Brotherhood?
I have. Yeah, I haven't read the whole series, but I've read like probably at least 6 of them.
Yeah.
There's several of them out there.
Donna Grant's books. Mm-hmm. Like, she has the Dragon Kings and stuff. I enjoyed those. They were good. They're good. They become predictable after a certain point, but they're good. I'm trying, and then I already told you Nalini Singh, like, she's one of my absolute favorites. The Psy-Changeling series is one of my absolute favorites because it's different and it's good, and I enjoyed them a lot. Have you read?
I'm getting lots of notes here for future books. You're just making my TBR list.
I know, right? Miranda Honfler, Honfler. She's from Indianapolis.
Really?
Yes, they're really good. And the narrator for that is Amanda Lee Cobb, who I actually follow on Facebook because I'm like, I really like this narrator a lot. But those are interesting. We really enjoyed reading those. When I say we, I mean Lindsay. Lindsay and I enjoyed reading those a lot. So those were interesting. I like Eloisa James. That's like historical fiction.
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't even know who else. I mean, I've read so many books. I've read almost all of the Anita Blake vampire series. Then I was like, by the time you get to book 21, you're like, okay.
Kind of all the same.
I've
read a couple of them.
In one night, and then this is just literally just wash and repeat. The story is a wash and repeat. I'm tired of this. So I got bored with those really quickly.
So that actually seems like maybe a good segue into the book we're here to talk about.
Yeah, I probably should do that. I mean, do we have to? Oh, here's another good person. Kylie Scott is actually very good. Read Kylie Scott's books. And Jay Crownover. Jay Crownover writes really good books. Those are two. Yeah, I really enjoyed reading their books.
I'm writing them down, so I'll check them out after we.
They are very good. All right, so we're gonna have to talk about this book. All right. So
okay, I know, but like at least
you said we weren't gonna be 2 hours. It's gonna be 2 hours.
It's just gonna be 2 hours. Sorry, y'all.
Sorry, not sorry.
Okay, so Love on the Brain. As we mentioned earlier, I had not read any of her other stuff. You had read the Love Hypothesis.
The Love Hypothesis.
Yeah, and they are essentially carbon copies. Now, when I read it, I actually enjoyed it because for me, I went in with pretty low expectations, and I think sometimes that helps. So yeah. I enjoyed it, but I know that you did not particularly care for it. Let's see.
The best part of the book is the name she came up for that with that person. Which I don't want to say it, but I want to say it because it's the
I said it.
It is so awesome.
She had so many, like, I loved, like, all of her, I don't know, like, between that one or, like, her trademarked phrases. And then it makes me wonder, I wonder if she actually did go and trademark.
Yeah, right? No.
But like worst, best, cock cluster, sausage referencing. But like you're sitting there reading those things, and like for me, I'm like, yes, like yes.
Well, like one word that I don't know if she used it, but it's one that Lindsay and I say. Like, there's like bro marketing. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
like, hey bro, like you do this, you think you have $1 million and all the cars and all the women. Hey, and you're just like, oh God. Back off. Like, we went to an entire event like that, and we were like, I am so over the masculinity here and all the Axe body spray that I could just puke. Like, it was so bad. It was so bad. But yeah, like sausage fest and stuff, totally been there. Especially as a female who tries to go into like the technology side of the world.
Yeah.
As a female crafter who tries to go to the technology side of the world. I can't even tell you how many people laughed at me as I walked into their booth until they saw the kind of traffic and stuff I get, and then all of a sudden they wanted to talk to me. And I was like, you lost me when you started laughing at me.
Yeah.
Like, really? So yeah, like, I get it. So I understand like aspects of that. Like, I'm not in STEM. I mean, nowhere. Right. I mean, I'm terrible at math, but I'm also not stupid. Like, I'm not, I don't know.
Well, you don't have to be in STEM, I don't think, to identify with these situations, because we live in this society that we live in. You know, I mean, we've all experienced these things to an extent. And like, I mean, the sausage referencing. I mean, that's like, I mean, seriously, that happens all the time. Or like, you know, yeah. So I had, I went to Purdue for engineering. I did not stay in engineering, but I went there for engineering.
Yes.
But so to get there, though, like in high school, I took a bunch of like, you know, technology classes. I was taking computer programming. I was taking drafting classes. I was always the only girl. And like, you always have like these conversations that are going on around you that are completely uncomfortable, or, you know, like really blatantly disrespectful. And because you're the only girl, if you don't laugh and go along with it, you know, like, well, what's your problem? Or like, I don't know. It's just, I could totally, I saw a lot of that. Like, yeah. So I guess I really identified with all of those little like trademark phrases, we'll call them. But like every time she would reference, I'm like, yes, that is like the perfect description for what this is. It's, yeah. I don't know. But I don't think you have to be in STEM to like appreciate that, because I think everybody, like, if you're female, you've experienced these things.
Yes.
So
yes, very much so.
Yeah. Let's see. How do you feel about, so we know that this one follows the same formula, but it's not just following the same formula. It's almost a carbon copy, right?
Well, like, the other one, I think they're in high or college together. So they're like still in, I don't think they're in, I remember the Love Hypothesis, they're still in college. And so they're like in a chemistry class together, and he's in a frat and all this. So this one is out of college. So they didn't get along. I don't think I'm giving anything away. They didn't get along when they were in their doctoral
program. Yeah.
And so now they're in a, you know, they're being forced to work together, and she's like, oh, he hates me. And it's like, no, you just misread the situation. And it's just a bunch of miscommunication, and nothing drives me more crazy than miscommunication. I'm a communications major. Now, I'm not saying I communicate great, but the whole like miscommunication, miscrossing paths, misunderstandings, I'm like, dear God, just freaking tell her already. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm so annoyed.
I get that. I had some frustration with that as well. Like, I felt like there's a point to being oblivious, and then there's a point where you just got your head in the sand.
Yes.
you know, like, and I felt like she had her head in the sand a lot.
Yes.
So I'm trying to like think of like the non-spoilery discussion topics, but I don't know that I can really come up with any. Okay, last thing for the non-spoiler stuff. The Twitter messages. What did you think about her including those in the book? And then like, do you have any friends that you've made online that you've met in real life now? Well, I know that you do because you've talked about some.
Yeah. I have quite a few friends that I've met in real life after meeting online, both professionally and not professionally. Like just like Christina, she actually was a Marley's minion. That's the name of my Facebook group. And I did not name them that. They named themselves. So please don't come after me like she's so egotistical. No.
Okay, Gru.
Marley's minions. So Christina was a Marley's minion, and then like we've become friends since like we met at a Stitches event. We've become friends. And then like professionals, like the crochet dude, Drew Borski, he's one of the main reasons I became a designer, because he told me the path I had to go in order to start doing it. But like he became a good friend of mine. Robin became a good friend of mine. I mean, it's just it's crazy, these things that have happened to me and all that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't do Twitter though, just so everybody knows. I mean, I have a Twitter, but Twitter gives me anxiety. Like it makes me very upset. So I don't go on Twitter. I don't like it. I don't tweet. I don't like it at all. No.
I don't have it.
I do not like I not like this I am. No. No.
But I did like that they included the Twitter messages in there. I thought it was interesting, but I also kind of feel like how, like, you know, when two people have been communicating as long as they had, that they didn't figure out based on how small that community really is.
Right.
Like,
it
again, just head in the sand.
Yeah, this didn't seem logical to me. I mean, yeah, somebody's leaving a comment. I'm not super in love with the idea that a woman in STEM has no social skills. I agree. I think that's probably where my biggest problem is, because I know a lot of women that are in STEM who have outstanding social skills and good social awareness. Like, I didn't like the idea that there was another girl portrayed as terrible social skills. You know, I didn't like that part at all.
I don't know. That didn't really strike me too much in this book. I think that like what was her name? I don't even know how to say it. Not Kate. Her assistant, Rose Teo.
Oh yeah, something like that.
The goth girl, I'm gonna call her.
Really like out of place. I was like, why are we having her in here? Like,
I think it was definitely an interesting like dynamic, but yeah, I don't know that she necessarily added to the story a lot. Okay, so now let's get in. Okay, wait, hold on, because I feel like I'm going to start talking spoilers in a second. Right. Okay, so at this point, if you have not read the book, there's not much left to discuss with the book that's not going to be a spoiler. So if you don't want the ending ruined, now is probably a good time to hop off. Yeah, and before you go though, just to let you know, our next book is going to be Spells for Forgetting, and I will post that in the caption on the replay. Okay. Spoilers. All right. You've been warned, people.
As we talk, because I need to crochet. So.
Oh, and I've got a hat I've been kind of halfway working on.
Awesome.
So I still don't know how to say her name, but I don't think that she added anything to the story.
No.
And I don't think that, like, you know, like she and Kaylee become lovers. And I'm like, okay, but like it was, the way it was introduced was like, it was supposed to be like this big thing. And I'm like, why does that have to be like it? Right. So what? So they're lovers. Okay.
And I called the whole, was his name Dallas or Doogie or what was the guy's name that she brought? Like
Guy?
He was the bad guy. The guy.
Because that's a really original name.
Right? Yeah. I called him in my head the bad guy from the beginning. I was like, well, he's the bad guy. He's the bad
It's him. It's that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then like I didn't think that she added too much to the story. I think that, what was our girl's name?
B.
I think that she had plenty of social skills. She just had her head in the sand where
Lame.
Levi was concerned, I think. I don't know. But I don't know. I didn't get the feeling that there was like a social skill thing, but definitely with Rocio or whatever her name is. But I don't know. I don't know why she was in there to begin with. I mean, I know that she has to have like an assistant or something, fine, but it just felt like something that was superfluous to the story.
Yeah, I agree.
And then the reveal that Levi was schmacademics. Woo!
Shocker.
I know. I was so surprised.
I know. When it happened, I was like, let me show you my shocked face. Like, for real. It's just, it's not there. I was like, oh, come on. Can we just be done with this?
And I will say, like, I don't know if I was just not... Okay, so I told you I went into this one just kind of like brain candy, right? Like, I wasn't trying to think real hard about it. I was just reading to be reading. So I wasn't trying to pick up who was the villain through the whole thing, maybe in the back of my head. But, like, I wasn't surprised, but I wasn't, like, expecting it either to be Guy. But at the same rate, like, who else was it going to be? Because it's not like there were a whole lot of options. So, I don't know.
Okay, I didn't understand the point of the cat. What was the point of the cat? There's no point. There's no point of the cat.
I don't know. I wish I had a good...
No,
I don't know. You're right.
I'm telling you, I'm sure Ali Hazelwood is a very fine, lovely person, but maybe she's just a one and done. Maybe that's what it is, and this is just her style. And if people like it, you know, great. It's not for me. I like my characters to be a little bit more sophisticated, not just in the...
I think that's the perfect word, sophisticated. Yeah. And she was not.
No, not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. Like, she left me lacking. I mean, even Levi, he didn't impress me too much. Like, when he did write to, what would Madame Curie do, whatever,
right.
Said, oh, this girl, like, if she wasn't married, this is what I would, you know, he like announced, like, he wrote out everything he wanted to do to her and all the stuff. I was like, wow, that's really sexy. But then when it came down to it, I was like, all right, your bedroom skills are just not that good. Like, what are we doing here? Is that your dirty talk? Like, really? Like, I don't know. The two did not mesh. And then, I mean, I'm just going to be real brutally honest. If Ali Hazelwood is like writing this stuff out of experience, I'm like, girl, you need to find yourself some new men, because no.
Yeah, it does sometimes when you read what authors write for their steamy scenes, like, you do kind of wonder, like, well, how are they, like, is this like pure imagination? Are they making this up, or do they have this?
Right. I mean, I'm sure that some of them probably watch porn and get ideas like from that stuff too. I mean, if you like those kind of like really steamy books, Shayla Black. I mean, that's really, really hot and steamy. But like, this was just, this felt like it was like some freshman in high school who was getting the first to fill himself up a girl and was like, let me stick it in you. And you're like, okay, I'm not here for this. You know, I'm just being real. Like, if you're here and you see this, if you've seen this book, this is what it's all about. That's what it felt like. I was like, this guy, I mean, he couldn't find himself around a banana. I mean, come on. Oh, just did not. No.
That's hilarious. I mean, at least she had a couple of scenes in there. I mean, I don't know. I think the first book, I heard somebody said that this one had more of the scenes in this book, but yeah, they were just they were pretty vanilla.
Yeah. Yep. Not good.
Yeah. So, and okay, so the only other thing I even have for this, but I told you I was really struggling just to try and.
Me too. And I picked the damn thing. Really? Really? And the only reason I picked this one, because I was like, oh, I'd read the first one. This one was coming out. I was like, yeah, maybe this will be good. So I was like, oh, let's go with that. Like something light, something easy. I didn't mean for it to be boring, y'all. I'm sorry.
Blame Marley.
I can do better. I know. I can do better. But I like, oh man. And what really sucks is like, so I'm not a part of a lot of book clubs, and I just joined a book club here in Indiana with some of the athletes' moms and stuff. And they chose a book the other day that was like a murder mystery. Oh my God. I hated it so much. I listened to it on double time. So it's a 10-hour book, and I listened to it in 5 hours because I was like, I just want to be done with this. So this was my second, like, quote unquote book club book that I'm like, what the heck, people? Oh, anyway.
Oh man. So I enjoy, like, I've read a lot, probably not as much as you have. So I'm definitely going to bow down to your recommendations. And I've got a nice thing of notes going in the margins of my outline.
Nice.
But like, I also love to like recommend books, like once I know what people have a feel for and like what they like. But yeah, I feel like you've taken all of my recommendations, so I've got nothing.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, somebody said, did you know your son joined? Yeah, I know he's here. He knows I like books too, so it's all right.
He's been commenting sporadically.
Yeah. He's so funny. He said he's walked in because sometimes I'll listen to the books before I go to sleep, and then like I'll put like a bookmark, and then I'll put like a timer on. And so he'll come in my room and the book's playing, but I'm like completely out, and it'll be a scene that's really graphic, and he's like, whoa, Mom, what are you? And I was like, sorry, dude. Sorry. I didn't even know. Like, I'm asleep. Like, you've been warned. Don't come in my room.
I let a couple of my girlfriends like borrow my Nook ID, my Barnes and Noble ID, to read some of my books. And I was going through a patch, we'll call it. And they gave me so much crap. They're like, dang, girl.
It is what it is. I mean, I like to escape, right? I just like Mom. She wanted me to get all of the Left Behind series, the Christian Left Behind series.
Oh yeah.
On Audible. And so she gets on my Audible. She's like, where are my books? And she's like, oh, Marlena. Oh, what is this? I'm like, Mom, those aren't the books you're looking for. Those are not the books you're looking for, Mom. These are not the books you're looking for. And so I'm like, just pay no attention. Just pay no attention to those.
Meanwhile, my mom is like, ooh, have you read this one?
Oh, that's funny. So I got my mom to read the Outlander books, which was a big deal, and she loved them. She even read I haven't even read the last one yet. But she loved those. And her favorite part about that was that, as Jamie and Claire are older, they're like her age. And so she's like, it's like you're watching this relationship happen with older adults that are her age. And she's like, I really liked that. Yeah. But she doesn't really like a lot of the, like, I had her try Discovery of Witches and she couldn't even get into it. And I was like, you are crazy. Like, I love it so very much.
Yeah, my mom doesn't go for a whole lot of the fantasy stuff, so she'll like, I'll recommend something, and I'm like, this is great, you need to read it. She's like, I tried.
Yeah, I'm just like, well, all right, I mean, some authors, or not just authors, some narrators can just ruin a book for you too. Like, you don't.
That's the truth. Like, I had this one. The book itself was really decent. Mm-hmm. But what was it? Now I need to go look at Goodreads to remember what it was.
Right.
It was, hang on.
I have a couple books that are like that. Like, the book itself is good, but the narrator's bad. Or sometimes
it was a V.E. Schwab book, A Darker Shade of Magic or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah, A Darker Shade of Magic. So I listened to that audiobook, and the book itself was good. I'd be interested to read the next one, but I'm definitely going to read the next one instead of listen to it, because the guy, like, it was terrible. Like, his narrate, like, his just basic narration, like, it was fine. But as soon as he started getting into doing voices, it just sounded so stupid.
Yeah, yeah. I'll find narrators that I really like, and then I will, you know how you can search like authors or narrators or all that on Audible. So I'll look for a narrator and then look at what books they've done, since I know I like the way they
Read.
the book. And so I do that quite a bit too. I
So
like it.
I'm just starting to do some of that because like I only recently got into audiobooks within like maybe the last year or two.
Oh,
Um, and before that, I mean, before that I would do them, but not like as regularly as I do now. And I'm learning to start to write down the narrate, like whoever's performing the audiobook, because like Cassandra Campbell is one of my favorites.
okay. I like Jennifer Ikeda and Amanda Lee Cobb, Holter Graham. Gosh, who else? The guy who reads the Winston brothers is Chris Blakely or something like that. I don't know. He's really good.
Okay.
I know I have quite a few that I like.
Now I
Tavia.
feel like I should warn you off of this other guy that was terrible.
There's some that I'm just like, I don't know. Hey, have you read Sherilyn Kenyon's books?
I've read some. I can't. It's been a really long time though.
Yeah, she has several out. I like those too. Those are really good.
Yeah. So
Those
I
are
used to work at Borders.
Chris Brinkle, really good. He's the one.
Ooh. Okay. So I used to work at Borders like
That's
forever.
a long
Yeah.
time.
I know. I worked there through high school and college, and they like had one of the policies was like if it's a hardback or if it was, we call them quality paperbacks, like the prettier paperbacks, then we could check them out like a library. So I went through so many books just reading them there, and got to know a lot of stuff. But like, and she's one of them. Like I read Sherilyn Kenyon.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably getting them mixed up, but I read her like ages and ages ago.
Like the Dark Hunter series and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. I think it's good. I enjoyed reading that a lot. I know. And then we already talked about Kresley Cole and how she's like back. Like her stuff is really, really good.
Yeah, I liked her a lot too. And again, that's another one that like I think I read her a while ago, but I haven't read anything recently.
Yeah. So out with Monroe finally, after it's been like 5 years, but she finally came out with Monroe, which was good. I don't know. I love being taken in a story. Like, and like I said, it's not that I want sex all the time. I want an actual story. I want an actual story. Sex should improve the story, not be the story, in my opinion.
Right.
Like, what I want. So there's a fine line. And you know what? Sex is a part of life. Sex is in the Bible, people. Like, God made sex. So it's not a bad thing. It's just, I like.
It's good. I mean,
I like love.
Yeah.
I love all of that. It's good stuff.
Me too. I like it too. I love this.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like I'm talking to Lindsay. Lindsay is just, you should have Lindsay on here sometime, because she makes bags and stuff for knitters and crocheters and stuff, so she could totally talk about, she'll talk your ear off.
Hey, Lindsay, you want to join?
You should.
I thought she was on here, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Is she still on here?
Bags. I don't know. You should have her on. She's amazing. She's fun to talk to, because she talks about, like, she takes the like the English teacher aspect of it and like, well, this is how she's doing. I'm like, this is fun to listen to you talk like this. Like, I'm like, all right, it was good. Like, it's all right. Yeah,
it was good. It didn't annoy me like this one.
Yeah, that's really what it is. Like, if it's annoying and I'm just like, I will, I'm trying to think if I've ever stopped an actual book where I was like, I just can't finish it. Usually if I started,
very few.
Yeah. I finish it. I just push through.
Right.
Oh, Lindsay, you should join her some other time. Like, you should pick a book and come on here. Like, she's so good.
I'll DM you.
Yeah, she would be really good. Lost my train of thought. It's gone. I have no idea.
Yeah, I forget now too.
Yeah, it's all right. It wasn't that important, I'm sure. I have no clue. I have no clue.
You know,
Done.
I know we tried. Yeah, I don't remember either.
I know. It's like it has completely left the building. It's all right though. It's all right. So, yeah, Love on the Brain. Don't recommend.
Oh, I know what I was gonna say, and it's funny. I'm curious to see because she's got another book coming out.
Oh,
and
yeah?
I think I just saw on her Instagram that she's gonna be doing a cover reveal for it tomorrow. And it's going to be the same artist. And one of the things I noticed when I read the reviews saying how people thought this was a carbon copy, my first thought was, hell, even the covers look identical.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
they look so, it's fine if that's your marketing and your branding and stuff going on, but it's, I don't know. Oh,
it should be a little different. They're different characters. I mean, they can have like a same style, but still. Yeah. I mean, the dudes look exactly the same.
Yeah. Penny Reid has some STEM-based sort of books that are really good too. Lindsay reminded me how I was saying I never not finish a book. I always finish a book.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, always finish a book. I can only think of one book that I literally did not finish, and it was because my mom made me read The Vampire Diaries. And she was like, I love these books. And I'm reading them. And I'm like, they have got to get better. They've got to get better. And I was reading them. And I called my mom at one point. I said, please tell me this gets better. Because I cannot finish this. I'm like, this is just so bad. I cannot do this. She's like, what do you mean it's so good? I'm like, so you're saying this is as good as it gets? And she's like, yeah, I can't finish this. I cannot finish the book. So I didn't finish reading those, but everything else, like,
I only read the first one of that series. I did not finish any others.
Don't.
And then I will say, so because we're talking vampires now, did you ever read Vampire Academy? It's by Rochelle Mead.
No. Now I gotta look it up.
Very good books. So they're a YA. And in my opinion,
I like YA.
Huh?
I like YA.
Yeah, it's YA fantasy. It's they're okay. The books are phenomenal. Then there's a spin-off. The spin-off is almost as good. They ended up making a movie out of the first one, but their casting was terrible. And it never got past the first one.
Okay.
And then but like honestly, it's way better than Twilight. I like that. Like if I had to recommend like vampire series, so Vampire YA, Vampire Academy. If you want like adult vampire, like just fantasy, is the Blood on Silk series. Oh, it's not called that. Hang on.
Now I liked Twilight.
Oh, I liked Twilight, but I'm telling you, Vampire Academy is better.
Okay. Yeah, I like vampire books. They're good.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. What is?
I'm adding.
Yeah, Awakened by Blood. That's the name of this other series, and that's by.
Oh, that.
Who's that by? Marie Trainer. Those are all very good, and I've reread those books multiple times.
Awakened by Blood.
Awakened by Blood. It's the first one is called Blood on Silk. I'm gonna go read some comments while you're looking at stuff.
All right.
So let's see. Ali said, "Glad I wasn't the only one who didn't like it," referring to this book.
Yeah, not even close to liking it.
Adam Driver, main character.
For what?
I don't know. I'm not getting that reference, Ali. But maybe I just missed it in the conversation. I've already forgotten what we were talking about again because squirrel. And then River Virgin was a snoozer. River Virgin or Virgin River. I didn't read any of the Virgin River books, but I know some people like them. They felt a little too soft for me, but I am enjoying the Netflix series, so I don't know. Maybe I should have given them a chance. Christina says, I loved Twilight when I was younger, but I tried to read Midnight Sun, and it was so bad I couldn't do it. I kind of get that way with stuff because like you'll read stuff like when you're younger, and then when time passes and you're like, you get a little more experience under your belt, you're kind of like, what the hell did I ever see in this series? And so I'm hoping that Vampire Academy isn't going to fall into that, because I did read that around the same time as all the Twilight stuff, but I honestly really enjoyed it. And like I said, there's a spin-off series for that one too. But Blood on Silk, the Awakened by Blood series by Marie Trainer, I've read all of those books and their spin-offs multiple times over the years. So that one just is still good.
I already told Jay Crownover, right? The Marked Men series. And
what's that?
Jay Crownover, the Marked Men and the Saints of Denver series.
Oh, I haven't heard that one.
So Jay Crownover is the author. Jay Crownover. You gotta read those. She's a wonderful author. And it's not like,
oh, I did write Jay Crownover down.
Yeah.
I wrote her name down. You mentioned her earlier. So
yeah, she's really good.
Okay. Lindsay says she chucked Twilight across the room.
Doesn't surprise me. She was a middle school English teacher too. Lindsay was. So she's got a lot of opinions about stuff. Oh, Scarlett St. Clair. Have you read the Hades and Persephone books?
No. Good.
All right. So I liked them. However, at some point you're like, enough of the sex, get back to the story. So I will be honest about it. And I was like, okay. I was a little bit. Okay, like,
so Ali just replied back to here. She said that Ali Hazelwood based both men from Love Hypothesis and Love on the Brain off Adam Driver. LOL. Yeah. Okay, I can see that now. I was lost for a second. Sorry, Ali.
Like Adam Driver in his girl's character, because I could see that. Like how, like kind of, I want to say crass, or like I could see that. But Adam Driver in that movie, like the one he did with Scarlett Johansson, did you ever watch that? The scene, oh my gosh. There's a scene, Kaden, if you're still on here, you know what I'm talking about. There's a scene with Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson where because they're divorcing, and they're screaming at each other, and the passion and the emotion, everything that you're feeling in that scene, like as a married woman, as an adult, as a person who have somebody that you love. I mean, it's gut-wrenching and just wrecks you. Like you feel like you are in it with them. You feel it 110%. And he is Marriage Story. Yes. It is like one of the best scenes I think I've ever seen in television. Like you guys know what I'm talking about, right? The Ville Crochet, like that scene where they're arguing and yelling at each other, and it's just so much passion. I can't explain it. Like, but you have all the feels. It's really, really, really good. I think it's Penny Reid Hypothesis books. I think those are like some of the STEM people too. Yeah, it's really good.
Hypothesis?
Like the Hypothesis series by Penny Reid is really good. Now Lindsay said that she loves K.F. Breene, Breene, Magical Midlife. I don't know. I bought all the books because she told me, she's like, these are so good, you're gonna love them. She's like, they're corny, but they're so good. I was like, okay. So I don't know, I haven't read them yet, but she said that they're great. The Hypothesis series, yes, it's good. It's good stuff. I don't know. I could talk about all of this stuff for hours. Like, so
I know.
I mean, obviously, clearly, I have.
Yeah, we're working our way on 2 now, isn't it? Hey, at least now we're balanced, because the first one was about an hour, so now like this is part 2 and it's about an hour, so I think like that's a good balance.
That works. I will go with that 110%. But if you need palate cleansers, Lauren Blakely, she has, you can read them as one-offs, but they kind of all build on each other in the sense that some of the characters in some of the storylines will show up in some of the others. They're fun, and
I like it when they do that kind of thing.
Yeah, but she only writes them for Audible, so I don't think she writes them as actual books anymore. But they're good. Like I said, they're palate cleansers. Lindsay and I are just like, okay, I need to read a Lauren Blake. Like it was like, okay, it's time. I just need like an easy. Oh, it just made me feel good, sort of.
Yeah.
piece because
I love those kind of, I mean, yeah, you need those every once in a while that just kind of help you reacclimate.
Yeah,
Like
very much
sometimes
so.
you can finish a book and you're just like so like the angst level in those books can just be so off the chart. You're like, that's when my tension gets really tight and I have to rip out all my stitches.
Right. Or you're in like this, like, it's like you're in like a dead zone because everything happened and you're just like, what do I do now? Like, that's how I felt after Crescent City 2. And that's how I felt after the last Tower of Dawn book, or not Tower of Dawn, Throne of Glass book. Like, I was like, what am I doing? You know?
Yeah.
And I read Book of Life. Like, I liked it so much. I like, the book ended and I started it again. I was like, this is the best third book of a trilogy I have ever read.
I did love that one. That whole series, I need to reread the series now. I feel like I need to reread.
So good. Because it's not just this little neatly tied up ends or anything. Like, there's a whole other story there, and it's just so good. Oh my gosh. And
I do love that series.
Deborah Harkness, like, she's going through cancer right now. So, I mean, you just kind of, I don't know. She's just a very, very well-written book. I really enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, me too.
Anyways, how about everybody else? Like, what are some books is there anything else there that you have recommended? I also like Maya Banks.
Yes, I do like her too. She's a good like palate cleanser. It's always you know, it's a feel good, easy read. And then you know, we were talking about palate cleansers. Sometimes I need those just because I need a win. Yes. You know, like, do you ever have like you get into this slump with everything you pick, it just ends up sucking. And like I just finished. So this time of year I like to read kind of like mood books, right? Like it's Halloween is coming up and I like the spooky reads and stuff like that. So I read a lot of witchy things in October. I read listened to The Black Witch by Lori Forrest. No. And then I'm in the middle of one I thought sounded really good, and it's just dragging, and I'm like forcing myself to try and finish it, and I'm trying to push through it because I'm hoping maybe there's something good on the other side, and I'm not there yet. But it's like I need a win, you know?
I recently re-listened to all of the Knitting in the City and the Winston Brothers books by Penny Reid. And then I've just started the Donner Bakery books, which is an offshoot of it, but it's written by other authors, but it's like based in her town, but it's on other, and I'm enjoying them. Then I read this book. Then I read the other book called The Replacement Wife. That's what it was called. The Replacement.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
I didn't dig it. I didn't like it. That was the one I listened on double time because I was like, I was so annoyed by it. I was annoyed by the things that the main character said. Again, I was like, this is oblivious. I was mad at the character's husband. Like, it was just all the things. Like, this is not the book for me.
Right.
And then I feel like I read something else right before that recently that I really enjoyed. And my mind is going blank. I'm
just trying to like, I don't know. Well, I was going to say something.
Well, I read the newest thing, and I read the newest Diane Duvall, because they just came out with their newer books. Did you read any of the Julia Quinn books?
I read a few of them. They're easy, they're feel good, but they're almost a little too soft for me. I don't know.
They got
that's a good descriptor word, but
they got really boring on my.
That's probably better. It's just not. It didn't hold my interest.
Yeah, I got real bored with them.
Mr. Muggsy says V.C. Andrews. I feel like I've read something.
V.C. Andrews.
V like Victor. V.C. Andrews.
I like Eloisa James, Lisa Kleypas, Mary Balogh, Balogh. I like her books. These are all historical romance authors. I get on a kick of those.
Yeah.
Lindsay Sands books. I've read those. Those were good. Those weren't bad. Those are some vampire-y books. mention, I told you Kylie Scott. I really enjoy Kylie Scott books a lot. I like those. JD Robb has a new one. Flowers.
Okay, let's back up to JD Robb for a second.
I've never read JD Robb.
I read some of the earlier of that series, but you know that that's Nora Roberts, right?
No, I have never read hers either.
So I would say, honestly, Nora Roberts is probably the author that really got me into reading.
Okay.
I really loved a lot of her earlier stuff. Like, it just gripped me. Now, keep in mind, now, if you're going to go back and read some of her older stuff, it's decades ago. So, you know, times are a-changing. Yeah. Keep that in mind and don't judge it too harshly. But, like, her ability to tell a story, and I loved it. But I've gotten to this point, and, like, she keeps coming up with these new concepts and things. Like, she's not just using the same formula. But then here recently, and I've stopped reading her books because I had just one disappointment after another with her more recent stuff. And I would say recent within, like, the last 5 or 6 years, maybe a little more than that. Okay. I got to a point where I'm like, yes, I love this. I love this new concept. This is so different. And then I get to this point and I'm like waiting for the climax, and I'm waiting for this great big scene, and I'm this action packed thing, and nothing. Like, it was just neatly tied up in a bow. And I'm like, who wrote this? Like,
yes.
I don't know. I just didn't, it didn't feel like her. And then, like, I thought, well, maybe it's just this one book. And so then I read the next one when it came out, and it was the same thing. And then the one after that. And then finally I'm like, three strikes, you're out. I'm done.
Yeah. I hear you. Yeah, those are really hard. Like, you know what book got me? Well, in a funny way, Twilight got me back into reading, and Harry Potter got me back into reading.
Oh, I loved Harry Potter.
I loved Harry Potter, but like, I read a lot as a kid. Then I got to college, and I read more actually history books. I read a lot of World War II history books and Vietnam history, like recounting stuff, because I really do enjoy history books. So I read a lot of those, but then I just stopped reading. And then it was those audiobooks that were sent to me, because they sent me the very first Harry Potter, and they sent me the very first Twilight, and they sent me, oh gosh, I can't remember what else, a couple other ones. The one that, like, Tom Hanks was an actor, like Devils and Angels or something like that. There was
Angels and Demons.
Something like that. Yeah. Like they sent that, and I read that. And I was like, oh, that was really good. Mm-hmm. So that's what got me back into actually, like, reading. And then my sister was like, well, if you like these, you got to read these. And so then she recommended Kresley Cole books. And so I read those, and, like, I don't know. I just, when I realized that there was a whole world where I could just literally escape as a young mom of 3 kids, where I didn't have an identity anymore other than mom, which, kudos to anybody who is just a stay-at-home mom and that's what you do. Hardest damn job I've ever done in my whole life. I mean, bar none. It was so difficult for me. It was so hard. And when I was able to actually get out of the house and go to the yarn shop and become Marley Bird, I felt like I was back to myself, because I was just at home with these little kids, and just, I was always cleaning. I was always had a kid on the boob, somebody trying to pull, somebody else's hair. And I just was like, I just want to be me again, or I just want to escape what's going on right here. And I started reading, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. And so it really was helpful. It was good. I don't know.
Yeah. I feel that so much, like, honestly. And I mean, I'm just starting to come out of some of that myself, because my kids are finally getting a little older now. But, like, there were plenty of I went through so many books just, like, in that period. Like, I wasn't even getting them all up onto Goodreads, because, and I'm pretty diligent about that. But I would just read them so fast, because it's the escape that you need to feel like you're not just constantly being needed for something, and to have a little bit of your own space in your own head.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I would be home doing dishes or something, and my husband would come home from work. He'd walk up behind me and put his hands like this, right? You know, like right on my breast. And I'd be washing dishes, and I was like, I was sitting here thinking to myself as I'm washing dishes for the 5th time today, what could make my day better? And I'll be damned if you didn't figure it out. I couldn't wait for you to get home and put your hands on my breast. And he'd start laughing. I was like, please,
But no, for real.
just leave me alone right now. And he's like, wow, you're just in an attitude. I'm like, I have been touched or thrown up on or some all day. Like, I just don't. Yeah. You know what I mean? It just wasn't healthy. It was really hard. I have so much respect for stay-at-home moms and moms who homeschool their kids. So much respect for people that do that. I could not do it. It was just very hard for me. For me.
Like when we had when COVID first hit, my youngest was in the middle of his first year of preschool. Well, not first year, his like the preschool. He did 2 years of it. Anyways, he was in preschool, and my oldest was 3rd grade. Yeah. And that was very interesting. Like so I stay at home. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I have my little side hustle here, but it's kind of like, it is exactly that. It's a side hustle. I mean, it takes second place to everything else going on. So when that happened, and, like everybody else, we're all struggling to figure out what's going on. We've got all these worries and these fears and these little people that are looking to us to make it all make sense. And by the way, here, teach them something. I'm like, I don't know how people do this. And I was so glad for them to go back to school, and I think teachers all need raises and maybe some nominations.
Yeah. It was funny. So my kids, they were all in high school. Well, Joey was an 8th grader, and then Kaden was sophomore, and Alora was a senior. Poor Alora, my daughter, she moved cross country her senior year, and then it's a COVID year. And so like she just had 2020 for her was so hard. But anyways, they came home, and I work full time now. Right, my business has grown as my kids have grown. It's just been the best balance of it all, right? But now they're home, and I'm still working from home, and they come in, what's for lunch? And I'm like, I'm not your lunch lady. Like, you're gonna have to figure it out. You're plenty old enough to figure it out. So what happened was, Caden decided that I don't eat enough. He's like, Mom, you never eat. It's like 3:00 in the afternoon. You're like, oh my God, I got to eat something because I haven't eaten all day. So he would come down at 11 o'clock, 11:30 every day. He'd make himself lunch, and he would bring in lunch to me. So he became my lunch lady. He's like, you gotta eat. You don't eat. I was like, and I'd be like ravenous. I'd be like, yes, thank you. I'm so hungry, But I'm just, it's the ADD too. It's the hyper focus, and I'm into everything.
I know.
I forget to eat, which sounds ridiculous because I'm not a small girl. You can tell I'm not missing meals, but I forget to eat. And he'd be like, Mom, I'm making a salad. What kind of dressing you want? I was like, okay. So that was a nice.
I do the exact same. Literally yesterday, it was 3:00 and I still hadn't eaten anything. And I'm like about ready to pass out because I've got a headache, like that had already turned into a migraine at that point because the pressure changing outside. And I'm like, I need to get something into my body, but I really need to finish this one last thing before I forget what I was doing. And then I'm like,
mine was 2:00 today. 2:00 today, I finally was like, I have got to eat something. I've got to eat something. Yeah. It happens to me all the time, but
that is the sweetest thing though, that he would make you lunch and bring it to you.
I mean, and so Joey will make me lunch every now and then, but Alora makes me lunch now because she's home, and so she brings me lunch. Like they brought me down dinner tonight, like because whole office down here is my whole basement is my office, and it's a basement. It's fantastic. It's when you come here, you have to come.
I'm impressed that you have a basement in Indiana. Like that's not normal.
Well, it was a must. Like when I looked at houses, I was like, I've got to have a basement to have a space because I needed space. But anyway, that's that.
Yeah, I love that though. Like I totally empathize with your same struggles. Like I'm telling, like honestly, I have to set like alarms for myself. Like today, like so my kid has this books to movies book club that they have at school. And so once a month they will stay after school and watch the movie based on the book that they read. Okay. And it's not part of my normal routine. It's one time a month. And at that, I share pickup schedule with a lady down the street whose son also does it. And so I have to set alarms or I will forget to go pick up my children.
Yeah. No, I understand that completely. I have alarms all over, and then my assistant Chrissy, she keeps my calendar for me and sets alarms on my calendar because she knows I'm gonna forget. Like, I have, like, when people ask me, like, I was at a baby shower or a bridal shower or something like that, and one of the games was, how many alarms do you have on your phone? And I was like, oh, I'm gonna win this one. I was like, all right, here we go. Yeah, I had so many. They were like, what's all this for? I'm like, well, this is for this and this is for that. And I was like, I know what they're for. They're not all on at the same time, but I know what they're for when it's time. So yeah.
And this is gonna sound really dumb, but like, so my little brother, he's also ADHD. And he's the one that told me to set alarms. Like, why did that not ever occur to me? I was on the struggle bus before I figured that out, and I've got a smartphone. There is no legitimate reason I could not have set more alarms.
I learned from my daughter, who has
a little brother.
Told me, she's like, Mom, you should set some alarms. She's like, oh, that's a good idea. Now I realize you can tell Siri, hey Siri, set an alarm for blah blah blah, and she'll do it. And I'm like, this is the best thing ever. Like,
it is. Or like you can even set like alerts on your reminder app.
Oh, there you go.
So like, and I have like this recurring one so I have a sip and stitch here locally that I host. And so if I don't remember, like, I cannot tell you how many times I've forgotten to make the stupid Facebook event. So it's like, I literally have a reminder on my app or on my reminder app that comes around once a month that I just, hey, go create the Facebook thing. Like, and now I'm like, oh, I should probably just schedule them.
You ever type out a response in a text and forget to send it because you get sidetracked? It happens to me all the time. Like, I will go like, why hasn't so and so responded? And I'll go and look. I'm like, well, I never hit send. Like,
or I'm just as guilty of replying in my head and not actually typing it out and sending it.
Yeah, like, I hear that too. I hear that.
The struggles.
Oh, life. This is life. Well, now everybody gets to know me a little bit better. They're gonna like, this girl is crazy.
Yeah, but in a good way. We're crazy in a good way.
I'm crazy like the straw. That's what I am. Crazy straw. It's good.
Well, Marley, it has been so much fun talking with you this evening. I probably need to cut us off at the 2-hour mark here. It's actually my anniversary tonight, and
That's hilarious.
He knows what he's getting
girlfriend, go get you some. Make it happen.
So yeah, I'm like, oh, he even brought me flowers and everything, and I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. I won't see you for like a while. Good night.
Oh, that's hilarious.
By the way, can you put the kids to bed? Thanks.
That's so funny. Oh, it's like that is marriage.
That is marriage. I mean, we've been married for 14, but we've been together for 20. So it's like, he's like, I didn't get you anything. I said, I didn't get you anything.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. That is so awesome. Oh gosh.
This has been so much fun. I have loved having you on and chatting with you, and I really think that you need to come on again because this is just a hoot.
And I'll pick a better book. I'll pick because this one really sucked. Please don't judge me based on this book. Because
maybe we need to read the book and then decide what we're going to read.
Ding, ding, ding. That's what I'm going to do from now on. Absolutely. If you don't pick Discovery of Witches, let's do that. Because I would be like,
ooh.
I'm
down for a reread.
Dude, I love Discovery of Witches. I could talk about that for so long. Like, I love it. I love it, love it, love it, love it.
All right. Well, I will email Chrissy and we'll get something on the books.
That works.
All right, cool. Well, thank you so much. This has been so much fun. And thank you guys so much for joining us. I loved all the conversation and all the book tips. And I've got a whole list here of things to look up.
they're going to be like a Cliff's Notes or whatever, because she's like, I'm knitting, I don't have time to write it down. So we'll have to do that.
I will try. I will at least put down what I've got, like, in the caption of one of these 2 videos. I'm not sure how to make that work yet, but we'll get that figured out.
That works.
Well, thank you so much, Marley.
Thanks.
I will talk with you guys all on the next video. Don't forget that our next book, what is our next book? I've already forgotten.
Who are you talking to next time?
So November is going to be Yarn Vibes. Her name is Amber. She was actually on a couple of months ago, and like we were just chatting. I was like, hey, she showed me a book that she was reading. I'm like, oh, that's on my list. Hey, you want to do next month?
Oh, cool.
Spells for forgetting, because I'm still in a bit of a witchy mood. So here, hang on. Here's my nook.
Got it. All right.
Got the ring light going on. Sorry. Anyhow, yeah. So that's our November pick. So I'm super excited for that. Cool. And I'll put all of the information for that in the caption, and I'll type up all of these notes that I took for these authors that I got written down that you recommended, so people can check that out. Don't forget to check out marlybirdhouse.com. And yeah, that's all I've got.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good night.
You too. Bye.
Bye.